There are stories that begin online and never leave. Legends that spread not because people want to believe, but because too many claim they have seen the same thing. Too pale, too thin, too fast, too wrong. Tonight, we investigate one of the most disturbing humanoid entities ever reported, the Rake. What started as an anonymous post on an early internet forum quickly evolved into a global wave of encounters. People from different countries, with no connection to each other, began describing a creature identical in every terrifying detail. A hairless, emaciated humanoid crawling on all fours, with long, blade-like fingers and eyes that reflect no light. A thing that watches humans while they sleep, standing silently at the edge of the bed. The story of the Rake is a modern campfire tale, born in the digital age, yet it taps into a primal fear, the fear of being watched by something not quite human. It began with a simple thread asking for people to create a new monster, but soon, fiction blurred into reality as personal testimonies started flooding in. Let's travel back to the mid-2000s, to one of the earliest known accounts. A man claimed he woke in the middle of the night to a strange sound. It wasn't a creak or a footstep. It was the sound of fast, irregular breathing, close by. As his eyes adjusted to the dark, he saw it. At the foot of his bed stood a creature with no fur, no expression, and a twisted, unnatural posture. Its arms were longer than its legs, its head tilted at an impossible angle as if it were analyzing him. He was paralyzed with fear. It didn't speak. It didn't move. It simply watched. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it slipped out of the room, crawling with a disturbing, spider-like motion. When he finally found the courage to turn on the lights, there was nothing. No footprints, no sign of entry, no broken window. But the image of that thing, and the terror it instilled, stayed with him for years. He said it felt like a part of his sanity was stolen that night. As the internet grew, connecting billions of people, so did the number of Rake encounters. It was as if this digital monster had escaped its virtual cage and was now appearing in bedrooms all over the world. A woman from Montana shared a horrifying story. She woke up feeling an immense pressure on her chest, unable to breathe or scream, trapped in what she thought was sleep paralysis. She opened her eyes. Under the dim moonlight filtering through her window, she saw a pale, naked humanoid sitting on her, its face just inches from hers. Its eyes were completely black, like deep, empty pits, and then it whispered a single word in a hollow, lifeless voice. Sleep. She lost consciousness instantly. When she woke up the next morning, she was alone, but with deep scratches on her chest and a memory that would haunt her forever. The sightings weren't limited to North America. In Europe, a hiker camping alone in Germany's Black Forest experienced a night of pure terror. He heard scratching sounds around his tent for hours, circling him. At first, he dismissed it as a wild animal, a fox or a badger, but the scratching was methodical, intelligent. It stopped and started, as if testing the fabric of his tent. When he finally dared to look outside, his flashlight beam caught a creature crouched just a few meters away. It was thin and bony, its skin stretched tight over its frame. Its mouth was stretched wider than any human jaw should allow, a silent, gaping grin. He scrambled out of his tent and ran, leaving all his gear behind. When authorities returned with him the next morning, the ground around the tent was torn with deep, long claw marks, circling the campsite repeatedly throughout the night. Whatever it was, it had been there for hours. So, what is the Rake? How can so many people, from completely different backgrounds and locations, see the exact same entity? Some investigators and psychologists argue that the Rake is a purely psychological phenomenon. They suggest it's a shared hallucination, a product of sleep paralysis, where the brain, half awake and half dreaming, projects our deepest fears into reality. The figure of a thin, menacing humanoid is a common archetype in nightmares across cultures. But this explanation starts to fall apart when you look at the sheer consistency of the descriptions. Witnesses from different continents, who have never heard of each other or the online stories, describe the exact same features. The pale, hairless skin, the impossibly long limbs, the sharp fingers, the unsettling crawling movement, the silent observation, the nocturnal appearances, and, in some cases, a single whispered word. If it were just a personal hallucination, why would the details be so specific and so universal? This leads us to another, more chilling theory. That the rake is not a new creation of the internet, but something far older. Researchers have found references in old European manuscripts from the 1700s that mention a night creature without skin or a sleeper. These texts describe a being that tormented travelers and those who slept alone, feeding on their fear. The most unsettling part, the crude charcoal sketches found in the margins of these old documents bear an uncanny resemblance to modern descriptions of the rake, the posture, the limbs, the empty eyes. It's all there. Could it be that the internet didn't create the rake, but simply gave it a new name and a global platform to be noticed? Perhaps the most disturbing piece of evidence surfaced in 2011. A family in rural Pennsylvania, plagued by strange noises in the woods behind their house for weeks, decided to install motion-activated cameras. They expected to find a bear or a coyote. What they recorded was something else entirely. One piece of footage, briefly uploaded online, shows a humanoid creature crouched behind a tree, its unnaturally long arms wrapped around the trunk, peering toward the house. The video is grainy and low quality, but the silhouette is unmistakable. Then, the creature moves forward, its limbs bending and contorting in ways that do not resemble any known animal or human. The clip was removed from the internet within days, with no explanation ever provided. The original poster vanished. The video has become the holy grail for rake investigators, with only a few alleged screenshots remaining. These strange events fuel even wilder theories. Some suggest the rake is not a physical creature of flesh and bone at all, but something that exists between realms, a psychic parasite drawn to human fear. It doesn't seem to kill its victims in the traditional sense. It observes, it studies, it terrifies. Many witnesses report a buildup before the main encounter. Feeling watched for days or weeks, hearing small, unexplainable sounds in the house, seeing shadows move at the edge of their vision, and having recurring nightmares of a pale figure crouched beside their bed. It's as if the creature visits you in your subconscious long before it reveals itself physically. And once it appears, the sightings often don't stop. It becomes a recurring visitor, a permanent shadow in the victim's life. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the unknown, consider subscribing to Shadow Histories and leaving a like. Your support is what helps us continue exploring these dark and fascinating stories from around the world. Every click helps us uncover another mystery. Reports of the rake didn't stop in the 2010s. They continued right into the 2020s. In fact, during the global lockdown, when the world was quiet and people were confined to their homes, sightings seemed to surge. A man in Ontario, Canada, claimed his backyard security camera captured a gaunt figure crawling silently across his lawn in the dead of night. In Brazil, a teenager, up late, saw a pale creature perched on a neighbor's rooftop, motionless, just staring at his window. In Australia, a family reported hearing scratching sounds on their exterior walls for 3 consecutive nights. On the 4th night, the scratching stopped, but their dog, who had been barking frantically each night, had disappeared from their fenced yard without a trace. Skeptics will call all of this mass hysteria, a digital folktale amplified by social media. And maybe they're right, but believers say the rake is real, and it's evolving, adapting to our modern world. Regardless of which theory you lean toward, nearly all encounters share one final, chilling detail. The creature rarely makes a sound, but when it does, it speaks only once. A single word. And by the time you hear its voice, it's already far too late. So as you turn off the lights tonight, and you hear a strange creak in your home, remember the stories. Remember that the rake does not need to break in, and it does not need to force its way inside. It watches, it waits, and sometimes it is already in the room with you. If this story sent a shiver down your spine, subscribe to Shadow Histories, and leave a comment below telling us what you believe the rake truly is. An internet myth, a psychological projection, or something much, much older. Share this video with someone who loves a good horror story. We have more dark histories on the way. Stay alert, stay safe, and whatever you do, never look toward the foot of your bed.